Good evening, everybody. Anna is here, and I welcome you to a Money Date. It is actually a bit early, but I've got to hop on a plane because I'm going to a 10X conference. And so I wanted to chat with you before I took off for this next 3 days of an awesome conference hi Johnny, I hope to see you at the 10X. But before I take off for a conference, I want you guys to tune in and let's chat about an interesting topic I've got for you today. But before we get into that, Money Date is designed to remind you that you have to pause and check in with yourself about your finances. Every Wednesday we meet here because everybody needs that time, right, in our busy schedules to let us check in with ourselves. And so what do we do on a Money Date, right? If you're doing this outside of us having this discussion, that's wonderful, but here's the 3 things I want you to stay on the top of. Number 1 is your earnings, okay? And I'm hoping that you actually 10Xing your earnings. Number 2, what have your expenses have been? That should be kind of the opposite, not 10Xing your expenses, but making sure that they are staying within your income potential and what you actually bringing in home. And obviously the savings goal. Do you have a savings goal that you're staying in touch? Those 3 things is what's gonna make up the baseline of your solid foundation, okay? That's what you gotta get in place. I actually had a meeting today with a client that the biggest challenge that they're having is that they have a boatload of debt and then they cannot handle their basic expenses. They're drowning. And the very easy thing and solution to them at this point is to make sure that these 3 things, and I guess it's going to take a little bit of time for us to work on those things. But hi Dana, good to have you here. But hi Courtney, good to have you here. But that's what we're working on. So I challenge you to start tracking these 3 categories: your savings, your expenses, and your income, right? For the next, from week to week. Because when you sit down at the end of the month and do your finances, it comes out really easily, right? So it's not like a shock to the system that you haven't actually paid attention. So that's why I designed Money Date. This is how Yuri and I started getting together for discussions about our finances. But I thought that I actually will challenge you to do the same. And that's why I'm here every Wednesday, usually at 6 o'clock. Now, one of the other things that I like to share with you, but I already did, but I'll repeat it for those of you who are watching. I want you to also start reflecting back and thinking about the best and the most satisfying and positive moments in the last week that have to do with your finances. And that, in short, is called gratitude. So think back about one thing. I want you to start with 1, and you can graduate to doing this more often and coming up with more things. But what has been your money win? I call those money wins. And so for me, I always share mine. And if you're here watching me live, or you're going to join me in replay, drop something in the comments, because then I'll know you were here and I can properly say hello. And also let me know what your money win is, right? Because I do want to celebrate those with you, as I hope you appreciate me sharing mine. So my money win actually is just about to get started, because I'm heading off to this awesome conference. And 10X is, this movement actually started about 6 years ago, based on a book that Grant Cardone, one of my mentors, wrote. About 10Xing. 10X means 10 times. So whatever activity it is that you're doing, right, whether it has to do with your finances, personal life, anything in life, you have to put in 10 times more effort, 10 times more energy, 10 times everything. Because if you don't, you're never going to excel. You're never going to get to the level that you want. So it's been awesome. Check out, there's a lot of resources available around this topic. It's on personal development, sales, business, relationships. It's everything. So this is what I'm excited about the most for this week, because if I can get to the next level, and I know I can, with the amount of effort and action and energy, then I know you can come with me. So I hope that's a good enough money win for you, because it is very awesome, and I'm thrilled to share that with you. So you see, it is kind of related to the finances, right? But it's really looking at what are you excited the most? What has been really good? Because if you don't pause and reflect, you're not going to feel like you've accomplishing something. You're not going to feel like you're getting somewhere. All right. So I'm going to get into the topic of why I'm actually here today. And today's topic is credit score. I want to talk to you about the credit score. It is frequently, and I hope that for those of you who have been coming here regularly, you've heard me talk about making sure that you can actually, that you regularly check your credit score, okay? And you all know that you are entitled to a free credit report from all three agencies, okay? TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, okay? So Equifax, you may have heard, about 6 months ago or so had their database breached, but it doesn't matter. They're still collecting our information, such as social security numbers, addresses, our names. So they're still pulling the data to provide report, right? Our credit report to the lenders when we go out and request loans, credits, and not even that. Hi, Chad. Good to have you here. So what I want to talk about today is actually the credit score, that funny number that you get from all of those three credit agencies that actually tells you whether you are good and responsible consumer or you may need to work on some of these things. So I don't know if you've ever wondered what that number is made out of, right? Because we all know that, oh my gosh, if you had a credit score of 850 points, that actually is considered to be a good credit score. And if somebody who had a credit score of, I don't know, in the 600s, and it's a range. There's the, sort of the fair credit score, the good, and then the best. So I have never seen anybody with a credit score of 850, but I have plenty of clients who have credit score over 800. I'm over 800, so I'm actually excited. But the credit score actually consists of 5 different parts, right? And each of these parts contribute a specific percentage to how that score is maintained. And you may have noticed that sometimes, hi Chad, we should definitely do webinars. Let's get together. I am in Maryland usually once a month, so we need to have coffee or lunch. I'll reach out to you. So those 5 different areas is what we need to focus on, and we need to understand how that impacts, right, the credit score. All right, so, and we know why, right? But I'm going to remind you, we know why the credit score is something that we need to stay on the top of. Because again, it's not just for our ability to borrow, it also is when you apply for jobs, employers check your credit reports. When you apply for, when you rent an apartment, I mean, there's lots of different places, because all it's showing to those who need to see that is that you're responsible, and that you're responsible with your finances. Again, coming back to what I'm asking you to do every week, those basic things as far as tracking your expenses, knowing your income, and having really clear target on your savings goals. Hi Kelly, good to have you here. Okay, so number 1 is obviously the payment history, okay? And we know that the longer you have as far as the payments and how long you've kept that credit history, live, the better it is. So it makes up, I have to look up at my notes, it makes up 35% of your credit score. So think about that. If you are new here or you're trying to repair your credit, you need to consider the fact that maybe you need to give it some time and build up that history, right? Because the history allows for the time to pass and allows for that exact thing that I was just mentioning, is the ability for you to show that you're responsible, that you make payments on time, right? Then you pay off your balances, or if it's not a credit card, maybe it's a car loan or student loan, that you are actually staying on the top of it. So, and it also, again, it's your behavior. How good are you and how trustworthy are you? So number 2 is the total debt amount, right? So you know how sometimes when you have, and there are different types of debts, and I'll get into it in just a bit later, but you know how you have a credit card, you may have an auto loan, you may have a student loan, you may have a mortgage, personal loan, those different types of loan, when you have them outstanding combined together, give you a total debt, right? So you may have $20,000 in let's say student loans, $15,000 on the auto loan, and you have $5,000 in a credit card. When you put all of those together, that gives you the amount of total debt outstanding. Okay, so hi Tony, good to have you here. So you need to look at hi Jennifer, good to have you here. So you need to look at what that total amount is, and that particular section makes up 30% of your credit score. It's big. So it's a third of your credit score of how much outstanding debt you have. It's actually funny that how it works sort of backwards, because in order for you to have a better score, you need to keep amount of debt that you handle on at any period of time lower. So it's just something to think about, and I think it's probably most beneficial when you're thinking about credit cards, right? So if you have a credit card that's $10,000, what about how much of that $10,000 credit are you utilizing, right? And the best ratio is 30%. So no more than 30% of any kind of credit amount that you have, that's not going to start pushing you into getting your credit score hit. Now, all of these changes do not happen overnight, but your credit report is being updated, and now with modern technology and the programs out there such as Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, there's lots of reporting organizations. It is actually almost, you can see changes in your credit score, not instantly, but within a few days. So think about that. Now, number 3 is your credit history. Okay. Now, I talked about payment history. Are you paying on time? Are you consistent? Right. Credit history, it makes up of about 15% of that score. So, and this is the trick that you have to remember, right? Hi, Klasha, good to have you. So, you know how sometimes you open a credit card and because you were so excited and it gave you mileage points or cash back or, I don't know, a free cruise, and then all of a sudden, 12 months from now, you realize that has a annual fee of $100. So, and you say, oh shoot, okay, hi, good to have you here. So, and you say, all right, shoot, I'm not gonna need that credit card, I'm gonna actually close it. Well, guess what? That 15% of your credit score is what's going to get affected, all right? So the longer the accounts you have in your name, the better it is for your credit report. So think back, and I remember when I opened my first credit card, I was in college, all right? It was $500 Bank of America Visa card. Oh my gosh, I thought I was rich and I could buy anything I wanted, right? So I still have that credit card, believe it or not. I don't use it, but one of the points I wanted to make is that it's not that you keep the oldest credit cards open. They have to be active. So that means you actually have to, once in a while, pull that credit card and use it, all right? Go to the store and buy something that you can pay off immediately, but at least you're keeping the account active. Now, credit cards are the easiest ones to maintain because the other types of the loans or debts are going to be the ones that you're just going to pay off and you're done. So remember, right? And if you've closed your accounts, that's fine, but I'm sure that you've seen that if you ever pulled your credit report, and I hope you have, that it actually tells you if you've closed the accounts, and it gives the reason why the account was closed. Was it closed by the borrower, or was it closed for inactivity, or was it closed by the actual financial institution due to whatever reasons? So again, these are the big percentages that make up your score, so you need to be strategic and thoughtful about them. Now, you may think that a lot of this is very heavy lifting hands-on kind of activities. It is actually not at all. If you pull your credit report at least once a year, and you look through it, you check your score, and you look through the report, make sure nothing fishy is going on there, you are going to be better than most people in this country. Okay, so don't get overwhelmed by just some of these points that I'm discussing, but I want you to be cognizant and aware next time that you're making some decisions in terms of how to be better and responsible with the credit, because it's something that you need to think about. Leverage is a good strategy, leveraging not just money. You could leverage time, you can leverage other people. There's lots of things you can leverage, but at least start with that. All right, number 4 is the type of credit. Now that only applies to about 10% of your overall credit score. So the type of credit, I talked about this already. Is it a credit card? Is it an auto loan? Is it a student loan? Is it a mortgage? Is it a business loan? Hi, Yuri. Good to have you. So what kind of debt are you carrying? Now, obviously, it's probably better to be in a position not to carry any debt. But again, you've got to have at least a credit card or two open in your own name, because again, it's keeping your credit report alive. It's building your history. So differentiating between these debts is something you need to understand. All right. And my last one, but not least, is going to be new credits. Now, we are frequently incentivized. Again, I'm sitting here at the airport and I'm looking around. I don't think there's, I'm sure that I saw an ad while I was walking, and maybe not yet, but always there are ads for, all right, open our credit card with a particular airline, or here, I actually did see an ad. It was an American Express card, and I actually told Yuri, I asked him, I said, should we get this American Express card? And he shook his hand, and was like, all right, we'll have that conversation later. But what I'm trying to say is that don't be fooled by the idea just because there's a fancy, shiny ad out there that you need to open that particular credit card or get that particular debt. Now, of course, if you're buying a car and you need to borrow, that's fine, right? If you're buying a piece of property, that's probably a best strategy. But think about what happens, right? So 10% of your score is going to be affected by the fact that you continually opening new debts. Now, the reason for that is because every time you go and apply for a lender, so if I had to call now that American Express and say, look, I want your credit card, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pull my credit report. And so what that does is it creates a ding, means that somebody actually checked it, and it creates more dings, right? And they're reasonable dings, but it still affects it if that report is checked by the lender or a financial institution. So it is not a bad strategy, but think about, why do you need to have more credit, okay? Maybe you need to, if you're working through a situation where the debts need to be paid off, all right. I mean, I can understand that maybe there are strategies that you can do with transferring some of the debts to lower to lower your interest, and extend the term. But again, if it's not necessary, work with the credit that you already have, okay? I hope this was useful. This is actually pretty cool. Once I got to understand how these 5 components, right, there's only 5 of them, actually affect credit report and your credit score, it becomes much of an easier exercise, right, for you. Again, I highly remind you and recommend that you pull your credit report, take a look, and do yourself a favor, because that's one of the preventive measures, right? In terms of making sure that your identity is not stolen, making sure that nobody opened any kind of funding accounts in your name, and of course, right, understanding how what your score is made out of, so that you can actually start tracking your progress. All right? I hope this was useful, but I do have, before I close and get off on my plane to Las Vegas, a very fun place for this conference. I don't think we're going to have, hi Lisa, good to have you here. I don't think we're going to have a lot of time to hang out, because this is pretty intense conference, but I'm excited. So here's what I have for you. If you don't take care of your credit, then the credit will not take care of you. And this is Tyler Gregory. All right, I'm going to close as I have to hop on a plane. Thanks for watching, and you guys, please, if you found this useful, share this out and let the world know that they need to stay on the top of their credit score. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you for a Money Date next week. Bye.